Dear colleagues, my name is Monika Hagedorn-Saape. I'm currently the chair of CIDOC. CIDOC is the Comité International pour la Documentation within ICOM. It is one of the oldest international committees in ICOM. It was founded in 1950. By now, ICOM has 31 international committees, and CIDOC is one of them. CIDOC has a network of more than 900 members from about 120 countries. And in 2018, we had more than 460 active voting members from 78 countries. So currently the board has been elected in 2019 in Japan and is active until 22. And here you can see our the whole board. Vice chair currently is Jonathan Ward from Getty from the United States. Our treasurer Gordon McKenna comes from UK, and Trilce Navarrete is the CIDOC secretary, and she's from the Netherlands. The editor comes from Portugal, and then we have 4 ordinary board members, Kadri, Zayed, Dieter, and Jan, as you can see here, from Estonia, from Yemen, Belgium, and Germany. Altogether, our members from these 78 countries, as you can see here from 2018, there is a majority from Europe, but there are colleagues all over the world also active in CIDOC. CIDOC meets always during its annual conferences. Usually we have physical meetings. Unfortunately, this year, due to the pandemic, it will not be possible. We'll have only a digital conference. But usually we meet once a year. Papers and reports are shared at these meetings. We have workshops included and also tutorials. And we have working groups, of which I will speak a little bit more later. And CIDOC, during these annual conferences, holds its general meeting. And then every 3 years, it is in coordination with the ICOM General Conference, like last year. CIDOC communicates with its members on the one hand with its newsletter, which is bilingual, and there's one a year since 1989. We have a mailing list, we have website and social media, and we have publications. And then the annual conferences, which have changing topics every year, as you can see. And this year's topic of the conference, which originally should be a physical conference in Geneva in Switzerland, and now will be a digital one, a virtual one, has as a topic digital transformation, which fits quite well to the situation we are all in at the moment. This is a screenshot of our website. It's hosted by ICOM. You can find more information there. But we are also using Facebook and also Twitter as channels in order to communicate about the work we are doing and with our members. Since 2011, so nearly 10 years now, CIDOC also has a training association. It's a separate association connected with CIDOC, which has developed special training programs on various on all the levels of expertise in museum documentation, and meetings have been and training programs have been organized in various locations worldwide already. It originally has been developed together with the Museum of Tech University in Texas, but has been, as you can see at dots there has been organized training sessions in all over the world by now. There's one major thing which is, we put it quite strongly, but we say CIDOC believes that collections without adequate documentation cannot be considered to be true museum collections. And this is because you cannot adequately safeguard them and care for them. Also, the museum may have problems to demonstrate legal accountability, and the value for research and interpretation is greatly reduced. So if you do not have the context, if you don't know all this history of your collection, I think it loses quite a lot. So CIDOC is a community of international professionals, and our aim is to advance museum documentation and questions like museum management, standards, and these topics. So CIDOC offers advice on good practice and also on developments in museum documentation. And as said already, we actively develop standards, and you will hear more about it from your colleagues also, and from George during this workshop. So CIDOC is very much about, on the one hand, collecting documents, on the other hand, of documenting collections. And there are several standards and publications available, very early ones, like the fact sheets, which are, even if they have been created in the 90s of the last century, they are still relevant and still up to date. Then we have the international guidelines for museum object information, the CIDOC information categories, also very developed in 1995 and still valid, have been translated in many languages in many countries. And then we have the statement of principles for museum documentation. I quoted just from them. We have the statement of linked data identifiers for museum objects. We have, beside the CIDOC CRM, of which you will hear more in the workshop, we have within CIDOC a working group working on Lido as a standard for harvesting museum information on museum collections and museum objects. And this is all the work of CIDOC takes place mainly in working groups. Currently, CIDOC has 13 working groups, and you see the first 7 here. The first one, the archaeological sites working group. Then there is the co-reference working group, the CRM conceptual reference model working group, and the one of which you will hear more during this workshop, the digital preservation working group. Then there is a working group, one of the newer ones, on digital strategy development. That's because we realize that a lot of digitization and digital data are available in the museums by now. And if there is not a proper concept in a museum for this, you lose quite a lot. So you have to have a strategy for the whole work, not only for your database, but also for handling your digital images, for your videos, your digital files, and all this. And in order to do this, you should develop a digital strategy in your museum. Then we have the Documentation Standards Working Group. The Documentation Standards Working Group is currently working on the one hand on developing a wiki, but also trying to further develop the standard on data exchange for in case of exhibitions. Then we have the Exhibition and Performance Working Group. Here it's a question about all these ongoing digital exhibitions and performances, how can you document these things? And here the other 5 working groups. The Information Centers working group is the working group which is more working on the information centers which are available in several countries to share and connect the work which is ongoing on a national level, to connect it on an international level and make it widely visible, but also to work together with other institutions on further developing the documentation and standards like the key indicators for museums, the newly developed ISO standard. Then we have the Intangible Cultural Heritage Working Group, also one of the younger ones, looking at how best can you document intangible cultural heritage, and the new technologies which we have available now allow quite a lot more than was possible years ago. We have the LIDO working group, I spoke about that already. The Museum Process Implementation Working Group, that's more a technical group about how to implement the process which you have if you work in a museum on a museum documentation. Then we have some Semantic Research Environment Working Group, which is about connecting different data sets, also cross institutions. And the latest and the youngest working group is the Linked Art Working Group, which is about linking art by using the CRM and applying LIDO. So, as I understand, in this workshop, you will have a clearer insight in the CRM by my colleague George and your colleagues, and you will also hear and see about those work which has been done by your colleagues in translating this material into Ukrainian language. So I wish you all the best for the workshop, and would be happy to see you in one of our conferences, especially in the next one, which will be in December as an online conference. The program is more or less available online now, and the participation in the online conference, in the digital conference, will be free of charge. So we are happy if you would like to join us in December, and you will find more information on the CIDOC website, but also on the website of the local organizer, which is a Museum of Art and History in Geneva in Switzerland. So thank you very much, and have a successful meeting. Thank you.